Kuzuzampo, welcome to Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program with me, Sunampem. Our top stories this week. Education and health to receive the highest budget in the next financial year. The government optimistic of administering the second dose of the COVID-19 vaccines in time. And most teenage pregnancies in the country go unreported, according to Renew. The government allocated a total budget of over 80 billion yutam for the financial year 2021-2022. The majority of it is for capital expenditure. Presenting the budget at the National Assembly last week, the Finance Minister said the allocation was based on the theme ensuring sustained economic stability for a resilient recovery.
Education and health received the highest budget in the financial year 2021 to 2022. 15 billion item has been allocated for education sector and more than 9 billion item is for health. Together, these two constitute 30% of the total budget. The Finance Minister said 3 billion item has been earmarked for COVID-19 response in the next financial year.
Zilonitong Kechi the Kechininale, Mongi Yondomnale Bewajin, Jacha Jila, the Nigi Tokalu Pabajin, the Saya Sumton Bemidi, Naja Kobigi Donlengi Tenube, the Changil, Jagoki de Bejai, Seshugela. The Saya Sumtanginale, Saya Niton Bemidi, Naja Chetangi Surjanul Janila. The Saya Tontachi Bemidi, Naja Soil Henkagi Wulu, the Naja Menkap Kodu Benida. Dile takchigi chachi de zu kodu beni te surjagi te khala de zu tunegi tenube te jai seshune beinla.
Economic and public services such as agriculture, communications and roads among many others will receive 27% of the total budget. General public services, which include local government, constitutional bodies and immigration, are allocated 24%. According to the Finance Ministry, during the financial year 2021 to 2022, the domestic revenue is estimated to grow by 7% compared to the current financial year.
Da Nanki Wambab te Tsuchi di Bewajin, domestic resources la, the Nultum Saya, the Tontasum Sunga da Dugja, Tontasum Sunga da Dugja, Yitsi Imda, the Dinale Bewajin, Jacha, Tuchuri Jidi, Teletemigi Wambopla. The Jachasum so Judy, the taming Wambab in Seshugela.
Of the total budget for the next financial year, more than 5 billion item is for loan repayment, which includes external and domestic borrowings. Around 900 million item is allocated for on-lending, meaning lending borrowed money to a third party. Samtan Dolkar, BBS News.
The government is hopeful of allowing fewer tourists into the country after the eligible population receives the second dose of COVID-19 vaccine. The Foreign Minister, Dr. Tandidoji, informed this while sharing the government's plan and support for Bhutanese affected by the pandemic at the National Assembly on Tuesday. The Wamrong MP questioned the minister on the issue.
The Foreign Minister said once around 75% of the eligible population have been fully vaccinated, the government can plan easing certain COVID-19 restrictions in the country. Consequently, the situation of the tourism sector, which today remains among the worst hit by the pandemic, is expected to improve.
te takshelle atire onigi gopchinigi gokabi se shunibeila ta chora ngachra tinalu te onigi tenlu diji disu lejimbe te atiti yanchebe zonigi gokabe bombera yu se shunibe chora ngachra dugya khapgi nankina yu mingom ka mise kara jachele dunchu tenga dechi khap japshina covidle nyensungbe zodabachin te telen ngachra takshel berede te la jemigi pejugi la benigi berede te diji disu ati yancha zoshina te gokab
He said, in support of the affected Bhutanese, the government also initiated the Build Bhutan project and are providing the cottage and small industry loans at lower interest rates.
Te tangache takshil legdegi khatule bebachindi te gorim nibe beshimda lerim jideji zamdu yuse shunibei te tinalu tenjida ngachirigi tunke desu mado infrastructure da product diversification bedigibe te tinalu kharalu ngachi goka phui ise shunibeila.
Besides, the minister said numerous training and reskilling programs for the affected individuals were conducted. The government is also planning to inject more money into the National Resilience Fund. Meanwhile, last week, the Prime Minister said the government is optimistic of administering the second dose of AstraZeneca vaccine for the country's eligible population in time. This is Pasang Doji for BBS News.
The government plans to do away with the 30% import tax on sanitary products. The Prime Minister says the waiver will be proposed during the ongoing session of the Parliament. Sanitary products such as pads, menstrual cups and tampons brought from countries other than India are currently more expensive due to the customs tax.
This is Indian. 24-year-old Monita Rai has been working as a salesperson at a shopping store in Thimphu for almost 5 years now. She says menstrual products are one of the fastest selling products in the store. In a month, they sell almost 40,000 Newton worth of sanitary products. However, she says customers prefer Indian-made sanitary products as it is cheaper compared to those imported from third countries.
Yes, people prefer Bangkok products, but they cannot afford to buy it. If we see the quality, Bangkok products are very good. It's soft. If the government exempts the tax, people will buy Bangkok-made sanitary products, and I think we can sell it like Indian products.
The sanitary napkins from India are way cheaper than those from Bangkok. That's why I don't keep Bangkok products and people even don't ask for it. If the prices drop in the future, then I might keep the pads from Bangkok. Today, the country on average imports more than 400,000 sanitary products every year. Last year, almost 800,000 sanitary products were imported, which is the highest so far. If the government's proposal comes through, it is expected to play a vital role in enhancing availability and accessibility of basic sanitary items for every woman in the country. Pema Saldun Singh, BBS News.
The government is hopeful of administering the second dose of AstraZeneca vaccine for the country's eligible population in the next 4 weeks. As per the Health Ministry's guidelines, the second dose is due after 8 to 12 weeks of the first dose. The Prime Minister, Dr. Lotus Ring, said it has been more than 8 weeks after the country administered the first dose of the vaccine on 27th March.
With India battling what is described as the world's worst outbreak of the coronavirus, many are worried about when and from where the country will manage the second dose of COVID-19 vaccines for the country's eligible population.
아치즈라에 삼마조바 데 갑디치 가데베 베와친 다가세기 뚠드레 최곤 대에서노다 명화들의 것이 가가베 나이 있어와친 다레딩 같이 공로 랍도 미루옹세 랑게 로도 조람베기 내갑나 이메 개갑 잠링나도 개갑 가라기 데 조람베 뒤비기 갑루 같이 갑지 나와세미 로주딩 같이 람문훈이옹 또도 아치 자고니 다옹세.
As per the Indian media reports, the Serum Institute in India, one of the world's largest vaccine manufacturer, is struggling to meet local demands despite producing about 80 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine every month. According to New York Times, around 3.1% of India's total population have received both the doses of the vaccine so far. The Prime Minister said the Foreign Ministry is seeking support from 15 other countries to procure COVID-19 vaccines.
Jemi 개갑 주습디 AstraZeneca 기갑 유미기 개갑도 제가 순리 나베보다 이 개갑 라루기디 답라 미디에 코니 개갑 나라 말라마 유유스 로주 셰프디 통이 있어 주니베라. 이 개갑 미숨치기 따게에세 데데베 소나디 유유스 주니비 따게에서도 가데 타타 베숲치베라 가디 장게에세 이게 네슬레 치를 행가나 펩디 유유스 주니베라. 다니기 텔레 치딩아처럼 아메리카임에 아메리카나르의 AstraZeneca다 파이저 개합 취급 진도비기 갑보다도 유지사야 갭주디치 공 취급 진입에 대투타지사의 중기디.
The Prime Minister added the Health Minister, who is currently in Geneva chairing the World Health Assembly, is also meeting with the heads of other countries on the sidelines to seek support to procure the vaccines. Meanwhile, with the gap between the 2 doses of the vaccine extending, people are concerned. They are questioning the efficacy of the first dose in case the country cannot procure the second within the given period. According to the Health Ministry, while the second dose, also called a booster shot, is important, the first dose of the vaccine gives enough protection.
The Nyamatsumigi Menkaptigi Mifensimila. The first dose ki di 70 to 76%. And then GAC, the literature, the Takship Asia Baby,
Around 95% of the country's eligible population received the first jab since the mass vaccination program kicked off in March. KM for BBS News.
100 new COVID cases were reported on 29th May. This is the highest one-day record in the country so far. Majority of the patients are primary contacts of cases detected earlier. In just 9 days, Lowry and Serthi-Geoks in Samdrup-Jonkar reported around 124 COVID-19 positive cases. Both the places are under lockdown. So what went wrong in these places? Regional and local COVID-19 task forces suspect mass gatherings on several occasions as the potential contributing factor.
Villagers from Jomosanka, Lowry and Serthi-Geoks gathered for funeral rites in Kashating Chiwok where an infected person was present. During a religious event in Lowry, villagers from Kashating also attended the event. They included some of the primary contacts of the first case in Tashkang detected from Merak-Gewak. And right before the lockdown on 21st May, a 3-day religious event was held in Serthi-Gewak. Although no one from other places came to attend it, Serthi villagers had visited Jomosanka town for shopping before the event began. A villager from Serthi had also gone to Kashating and returned later to take part in the event.
Villagers stayed together for 8 to 9 hours. They had meals together. So during such times, they would not have used the face masks. So somehow, they got exposed to each other and we think the disease spread from there.
Lowry and Serthi have now set up an isolation center where the asymptomatic patients are kept. Including cases from Kashating Chiwok, Jomosanka Dungkak has so far reported 152 positive cases since 21st May. For Kiloanchu in Samdrup-Jonkar, Ishidoji, BBS News.
An outbreak of the African swine fever in Phinsoling has killed more than 40 pigs in the past few weeks. According to officials, it is the first time the highly contagious viral disease is being reported in the country. Livestock officials detected the outbreak after 3 stray pigs were found dead near the Phinsoling-Jagang border area 4 weeks ago. Samples collected from the dead animals were sent for RT-PCR testing but tested positive for the African swine fever virus. However, the virus is not a threat to humans.
African swine fever
The African swine fever doesn't have a treatment yet. So in order to contain the disease and stop it from spreading, we have put in place various strict measures. There are high chances that the stray dogs and birds feed on the dead remains of the pigs and spread them in neighboring farms and wild pigs.
A 21-year-old man succumbed to a head injury at the Gelifo hospital on 30th May, almost a week after he was allegedly assaulted by 8 individuals, including 3 females. The deceased from Sherzong was a class 12 graduate. According to police, the victim's ex-girlfriend and her husband were also involved in the incident. Reports say the husband saw messages from the victim on his wife's phone. The suspect then blocked the victim's number and asked another friend of his wife to message the victim for a date. They then allegedly assaulted the victim when he came to meet his ex-girlfriend. All suspects were detained by the police. The suspects are all under 19 years of age. A 12-year-old girl giving birth in Samdrup-Jonkar would have gone unnoticed if she had not taken her baby to a BHU after complications. According to the Renew, there are many such cases across the country which go unreported. Data with the organization shows that there were around 200 cases of teenage pregnancy last year from 17 districts.
The Renew says increasing number of teenage pregnancy, which is mostly underreported, is a big concern. The organization has been helping and sheltering victims of such cases. Renew officials say people are hesitant to report such cases as it is pre-age and out of marriage pregnancies and mainly due to community stigmatization. Officials shared the pandemic and lockdowns have worsened the situation and perpetrators are mostly close ones or someone they know.
Many have, been sexually exploited also, so by their own family members, And to cite some example, we have a few young girls in the shelter who are ready to give birth anytime, within June or July. They will be giving birth, and they are all, some of them are 13 years old, some of them are 17 years old. These are the reality, stark reality. And we have to do something about it.
Renew says they are planning to meet up with relevant agencies to discuss on what can be done to address the issue. They will also be increasing the advocacy and awareness programs. BBS tried to get the Health Ministry statistics on teenage pregnancy in the country, but they said it is not ready yet. Kilatim for BBS News.
The presidents of both Druk Nyamrup Sokpa and Druk Finsum Sokpa have decided not to go for the presidential campaign of the upcoming by-elections for Mongar and Nganglam constituencies. According to the party officers, this is in view of the COVID-19 situation and the ongoing parliament session. The two parties informed the ECB of their decisions on Wednesday. DNT had earlier shared on Monday that they would take part in the presidential campaign. DPT in response had said it would also make an appropriate decision, although they had proposed foregoing the campaign. A temporary medical camp has been set up for the herders of Meragyeok in Tashigang who are under pasture land or jungle quarantine in Shinkarong. The district COVID-19 task force established the facility to provide emergency services since there are a few COVID-19 positive cases among the herders.
Since the first COVID-19 case in the Gyeok on 19th May, Merak recorded 41 positive cases. While some of them have been referred to the isolation facilities in Mongar and Tashigang, 12 are still living in the pasture land in self-isolation, herding cattle.
If they go to the isolation facilities in other places such as Tashigang or Mongar, they may have to leave their cattle without a herder. So as per their wishes, they will remain in their own pasture land unless they are seriously ill. They will be referred to a nearby hospital if anything serious happens.
A team of health officials from Tashigang is based in the medical camp at Terong, which is around 6 hours walk from the Gyeok center. The Sakding Tungpa Sangadawa said the COVID-positive herders are leading a normal life. So far, not a single patient has been admitted to the medical camp or referred outside.
We have around 5 to 6 portable oxygen cylinders. We will place them in the pasture lands since they are located quite far from the camp. We will keep it ready in case a positive patient needs it.
Today, there are more than 200 herders of Merak and Sakding who are living with the cattle in the pasture lands of Shinkarong. For Sonam Darge in Tashigang, Phupkiem for BBS News.
A waste management strategy to collect a security deposit among the Cordyceps collectors of Chekogyok in Bumthang has proven efficient. It helped in reducing waste in the collection sites. The Wangchuk Centennial National Park and the Gyeok office implemented the system from last year.
This is the strategy in action last season. Collectors bringing back sacks of waste from as far as Kankar Pinsum after the month-long Cordyceps collection period. The waste were dumped in this enclosure and the security deposit of 1,000 unitum refunded. Each individual was required to bring back at least 5 kilograms of non-degradable waste. Together, people gathered around a Bolero pickup truckload of waste.
During the month-long cordyceps collection period, close to 1,000 people enter the collection sites. So, a huge amount of waste is generated in the mountains. Following this, we introduced a strict waste management strategy, and from last year's record, we can say that people are bringing back 80 to 90% of the waste they take to the collection areas.
Until last year, people were also advised to bring back the waste, but without a security deposit system in place, people returned with only about 30% of the total waste taken to the collection sites. Through the arrangement, the collectors also declare the goods they take to the collection sites and bring their waste back while returning home. Meanwhile, this time the quantity of waste has been reduced to 3 kilograms per individual, as people were unable to meet the 5 kilogram requirement last year. Officials said, besides littering the open meadows, non-degradable waste is harmful to mountain ecosystem.
Plastics are non-degradable, and once plastics cover the habitats, all medicinal plants and herbs, including cordyceps, stop growing. Due to littering, the growth of alpine meadows is also affected, following which the grazing ground for animals shrink. This indirectly disrupts the source of food for snow leopards.
The Wangchuk Centennial National Park also plans to involve the local communities and volunteers in a mass cleaning campaign along the trekking routes and cordyceps collection areas in the next financial year. With over 80 collection sites spread across Bhutan and Wandifota, the Wangchuk Centennial National Park has the largest cordyceps collection area in the country. Kipchu, BVS News, Bhutan.
That's all for this week. Thank you for joining us.